It's a new year and wild stuff is already happening. Nvidia just leaked their own RTX 5000 GPU's design. But before I get to that, AMD's Ryzen Max gets its first benchmark and it's unreal. The first pre-built PCs leak with a 5080 and 5070 Ti, and we have the actual release date of this Nvidia GPU. Welcome everyone to Gamer Melt. Okay, it's news time, and first up for today, I've been talking about AMD's Ryzen Max for months now. I've known that they were coming because, like I mentioned in the past, my own source confirmed it as well. Back then, they were codenamed Strix Halo, but we now know that it's Ryzen AI Max. But terrible names aside, these bad boys are set to be the most epic APUs ever. And today, we have our first real benchmark. As you can see right here, this is a Geekbench benchmark, and it's of the Ryzen AI Max Plus 395. This bad boy is the monster chip that comes with 16 cores and 32 threads, as well as the Radeon 8060S, which I do believe is the one that comes with 40 CUs. Once again, absolute beast of an APU. 40 CUs is more than even the 7600 XT, and in fact it's quite a bit more, and yet it's an integrated GPU. Not only that, but you can see that this comes within the Asus ROG Flow Z13, which is actually a 2-in-1 gaming notebook. Then you can also see that it comes with a base frequency of 3 GHz. Now they claim a max frequency of 2957 MHz, but obviously that doesn't even make sense. We see weird stuff within Geekbench like this all the time, especially with new hardware. It's actually able to get up to 5.1 GHz. When it comes to the actual score, you can see that I got a single core score of 2928 and a multi-core score of 19,484. Now, obviously, these are CPU scores, yet the most interesting part is, of course, that integrated GPU, but this is still really wild because when we compare it to the current best, don't forget, this, of course, is a high-performance APU, so it isn't like a ultra thin and light APU or anything like that. So the best comparison would be against the current best 7945HX, and you can see that that one got a multi-threaded score of 15,921, which means that this bad boy is a whopping 22% faster. So a very nice performance jump, and don't forget, that's while it also has a 40 CU integrated GPU. So this is very much impressive here. Not only that, but it actually does so well that it even beats, albeit slightly, but it beats the desktop 7950X, meaning this bad boy already is looking like a beast, and we haven't even gotten to the integrated GPU. Finally, all that's left to do is to run it and check for errors. What? Nothing? Learning to code? Yeah, what's wrong with that? Was mean. A couple of years? Okay. If you don't want to end up like this guy, Brilliant is the best place to learn about computer science. Whether it's coding, learning how AI works, PC memory, and a ton more. Because unlike other online learning platforms, Brilliant actually teaches you by getting you to do it yourself. And they do that with these fun and engaging puzzles. Plus, while they sponsored today's video, I actually use them myself. And if you're still hesitant, you can try them out for free when you visit brilliant.org/gamermelt. So you've got nothing to lose. And to top it off, when you use my link, you'll get 20% off their annual premium. Once again, that's brilliant.org/gamermelt. And next up for today, the first pre-built PCs with Nvidia's next-gen GPUs were just spotted on their official website. Fortunately, they have since been taken down, but as always, that really just makes these even more credible. Well, they're obviously the real deal anyway, given the fact that this is from the official pre-built PC's website, but yeah, regardless. As you can see, these officially come from iBuyPower, And starting things off, we have one with an RTX 5080 as well as one with an RTX 5070 Ti. And right off the bat, you might notice, okay, yeah, it shows gaming performance, but this is so very clearly off of what kind of performance we should expect from these GPUs. It's very obvious that they're just trying to quickly get all of these listings ready and everything. Another example of that, you'll actually notice this says RTX 5070 Ti, but when we go down to the actual specs of it, it mentions RTX 5070 Ti Super. So clearly this is them copy and pasting specs to get ready for these upcoming systems. So we, of course, can't get anything out of this as far as, gaming performance or anything like that. But what this does do is, for one, it tells us that both of these do in fact come with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. You can see, so the 5070 Ti 16 gigabytes, then the RTX 5080 also 16 gigabytes. But it also tells us that they're not only preparing an RTX 5080, which was something that we more or less knew was going to be happening, but that the RTX 5070 Ti is in fact so close to release that they're preparing that, or at least a system with that GPU as well. Meaning, for anyone who really wasn't wanting to spend the massive big bucks to get, say, the RTX 5090 or even the 5080, you likely won't have to wait very long to get a lower end GPU that is hopefully more affordable. Not only that, but leaks have claimed that all of these GPUs are in fact set to release in January, and clearly this does lend credence to that. And while speaking releasing, we actually do have the release date for one GPU, specifically the RTX 5080. And when I say release date, I'm not talking announcement or anything like that. We're talking the actual release. According to I will say, now removed tweet by HKEPC Media, which, for those who don't know, is a Hong Kong-based news outlet, so they're definitely someone who could know and would be reliable. Either way, they simply wrote 5080 the 21st of January, meaning you won't have to wait long between the announcement at CES and its actual release. And speaking of, like I've said before, I will be at this year's CES, so if you aren't already subscribed, now's your chance so you can keep up with all the awesome news coming out of the conference. And lastly for today, Nvidia just leaked their own GPU. If you remember, I actually discussed this when Nvidia originally announced it, but basically, they announced this LAN event. It's this really big event that they're doing starting January 4th at 4:30 p.m. PT. And it's called GeForce LAN 50, obviously in reference to the 50 series GPUs or 5000 series. And what's wild is that they're doing specifically 50 hours of gaming. Well, gaming, contests, prizes, it's definitely going to be a pretty big event. But it's 50 hours of gaming, and what's wild is that when those 50 hours are up is when Nvidia's CES event starts. Once again, clearly this is for their RTX 5000 cards. Well, they actually just released a new video, and it definitely has something really interesting in it. So I'm going to really quickly kind of go through it. You can see GeForce LAN event, join millions online, January 4th through the 6th. Alan Wake starts listing games, 50 hours of epic gaming, World of Warcraft, the finals, complete missions, receive in-game rewards. Then it starts going over those rewards. Fallout 76, the finals, okay, World of Warcraft, showing some more game footage, share, okay. Here it is. Prizes. So this one, clearly, clear as day, you can see this is a pretty epic looking gaming PC. Then there's an RTX 4000 GPU, but then very quickly they showed this, where they're clearly trying to hide this PC, but it does say GeForce RTX. Then you can also see that it actually has an LED kind of line right here. But the interesting part is that if you use some color tools, different things like that, you can actually see there is a GPU in here, and we get a look at it. And starting things off, you will notice that this is pretty clearly, given the size, not an RTX 5090, but it could be, say, an RTX 5080 or of course the 5070 Ti. And right off the bat, you'll probably notice that this does not have their kind of push-pull cooler design. Instead, this is a normal dual fan design, front-facing fans. Then they actually, it looks like they have a 45-degree angled power connector. That's pretty interesting. A nice looking design, I will say, but definitely a departure from their RTX 4000 cards. Now, with that said, I do want to at least note that sometimes, especially with the lower end cards, we're talking the RTX 60, 70 models, things like that, they will show, if they don't have, particularly if they don't have a Founders Edition card, they will show a render of a card that isn't actually released. But given the fact that they obviously should have at least some Founders Edition cards for this release, it would be odd for them to do that. And then, I mean, specific details like this 45-degree angled connector, as well as the fact that it was pretty obvious they were trying to conceal this. I would state, because definitely in other renders in the past, they aren't trying to hide it or anything like that. So I would definitely say that this is looking like the actual final design. So while that does it for today, what do you think about Nvidia's new design for their RTX 5000 cards? Let me know down in the comments below. And definitely make sure to try out Brilliant for free at brilliant.org/gamermelt. And as always, have a great day.